I am so stoked. I'm Chris. I'm a ministry consultant here at Subsplash. Have about a decade of experience in church technology, both working in the church and also here at Subsplash. And then I've got my partner in crime. It feels like, Stephen, we've done 2 webinars together now, but yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
That's true. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, my name is Stephen. I've been at Subsplash over 10 years now. I started out in support on the client-facing side, and now I'm working behind the scenes on product as a group product manager. So I oversee the product managers for several different teams, and I'm also heavily involved in the Fluoro product. And it's, you know, it's easy to say this and it sounds cliche, but I honestly believe now is like the most exciting time in all the time I've been at Subsplash to be working here because of what we're working on and what we have in store coming soon.
Yeah, I love it. And like I said, I know your team's been so hard at work making this happen. And yeah, we're so stoked to get into this. A couple of quick housekeeping things. So outline of agenda for today. First of all, if you're only able to join for part of it or even want to send this out, this will be recorded and sent out. So definitely make sure you do that. But here's what we're going to go through today. So firstly, the why. Why is it important to have a unified data source? And how does this actually enable discipleship, right? That's kind of key. That's what's most important. The second thing, Stephen, you're going to take us through a demo and actually how this plays out practically of how really unified data can enable discipleship and hopefully take off a lot of admin workload. And then we're going to have Q&A. So please make sure you post your questions in Q&A. And then we're going to actually talk through vision of how this kind of sets the foundation for Subsplash, not only in the next few months, but even the next few years to come. So please make sure you stick around for that. That is going to be so exciting. And Stephen, I'm excited to get into this for a couple of reasons. Not only because is this going to help churches become a lot more effective and more efficient, which is always a good thing. But what's really important, kind of the most important thing, is enabling churches to know their people and multiply their impact of sharing the gospel. That for us is key, right? And everything we do, we want to keep front and center. How do we enable churches to make more disciples, to make better disciples, and make the gospel more accessible? So we've got a chat question for you guys. What does it mean for you guys to know your people? I know we talk about that term, know your people, a lot. Go ahead and post in the chat. Let's see some of the answers here. What does it mean to know your people? Let's see. Hopefully the chat should be working. Do life for them. Yes, absolutely. Yep. I love it. Everything. Yeah. Other wants, needs, concerns. I love this so much. Love it. Understanding their needs, knowing their needs, connecting with them, spiritual struggles. Yes, I love it. It sounds like, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, discipleship, right? Like doing life on life, knowing somebody's needs, doing life together. That's discipleship, right? And that's our commission, right? Not only as pastors, but also more importantly, as believers, right? Discipleship is at the center and the core of everything we do, not just Sundays, but throughout the week, right? Doing life together. And we know that you can't have discipleship without engagement. Part of discipleship is engaging with one another, whether it's through technology or in person. And unfortunately, kind of what we've seen is pastors really struggling to stay on top of this, right? As is evidenced by this stat here. 33% of pastors, almost a third of pastors, reporting that they're struggling to meet those ongoing needs of discipleship. And the paradox of this is that 63% of Christians are actually desperate for more resources from the church. So you have churches struggling to meet that need, and actually congregants wanting more resources. And we really believe a huge contributing factor to this is pastors' lowest priority in 2019 was keeping up with technology trends. And now the number 2 challenge in 2022, kind of towards the end of COVID here, is keeping up with technology, right? And as pastors, you guys didn't sign up to be tech experts, right? That's not what you guys said. Hey, I feel the calling to ministry is the calling to be a tech expert. Absolutely not. And that's why, as you guys know, we created Subsplash One, right? And our hope being everything that the church needs in one place to better know, to better engage their people. And really that's the core, right? And so why we're so excited about this unification and how you guys know we've added the Fluoro platform to Subsplash over the last year, and then all the tools that we already had on the engagement side is really this, is it's discipleship, right? Like that's the core of what we do. So here's what's awesome. Let's go to this next slide here. And I want to hear from you guys. We've got a poll. We're going to talk about how actually discipleship, or how actually a database can help you know your people, right? And how it can actually engage your people. So I'm going to launch this poll. You guys should see this poll come here, but I want to know, what's the primary means that you guys have as a church of getting people into the database, right? Is it manual entry? Is it users logging in? Is it connect cards, joining a live stream? Let's see, we'll kind of wait here for a minute. We're getting a lot of manual data entry. Oh my goodness, physical connect cards, some digital connect cards, manual entry. Yep, let's see. Okay, I think we're starting to slow down. All right, let's give this a few more minutes and we can share the results of this. I think it's kind of shocking. My goodness gracious. Okay, let's end this and then share these results with you guys. Almost 41%, almost half of you guys said manual data entry. That's a lot of data, like manual data entry every single Sunday and every single week. And that's something that we really want to change, right? We want to help make sure that you guys aren't having to do that. And secondly, one thing that we really believe is extremely important to knowing your people is actually knowing that those people are in your database. And so I've got another question for you guys, kind of a follow-up question to that first one. How confident are you guys that your database provider is actually preventing people from falling through the cracks? We'll see the results. We'll let them trickle in here. Shocking. This is like actually kind of shocking. I think you guys are going to be shocked once we get through this and you guys see the answers to this. Yeah. Okay. A lot of, I have no ideas, a lot of not confident, a lot of somewhat confident. We'll let a few more people answer here and we'll end this here in a minute. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to share this. And I actually want you guys to post in the chat if this like surprises you, if you guys are shocked as I am, because I'm pretty shocked. A lot of you guys aren't super confident, right? From being able to make sure that everybody is in your database and that people aren't falling through the cracks. And why this is key is unless you're using your database to know and engage your people, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you can't actually, if you don't know and you're not confident that all of your people are actually in your database. You can't know and engage those people if you don't know who they are. So that's why we are so excited about this release, because this changes the game for churches, right? This means no longer having to rebrand the church database as the hub or a ton of manual data entry, which for you guys as admins can create a ton of bottlenecks, right? And making sure that people are in the discipleship process that you guys have. This means knowing who is engaged with your live stream and who's not. That's a huge deal, right? Something that you can't always know with Facebook or YouTube. This also means no longer having to download 7 different apps that aren't actually your church's app to have them engage or update their information, and no longer having to have people fill out connect cards to get their information, which I think is huge, right? Being able to naturally allow people to flow into the database through the ways that they're already engaging with your church, hopefully, through Subsplash, whether it's by giving a donation, whether it's by registering for an event, downloading the app and creating a profile, which is awesome. Joining a group, joining live stream chat, and of course, filling out the good old digital connect card and manual data entry can always happen, but we always hope that this will alleviate some of the workload for you guys. So we're excited about this. I'm excited to actually showcase this. Stephen, I know you guys have been working so hard, and I'm sure this for you is presenting something, that you've been working on for a really long time. So Stephen, talk us through how this takes practically somebody from unengaged to engaged member of the church.
Yeah. Well, so let me set the scene here for you. So here's the idea. Chris and Stephen are coworkers. They bear a little resemblance to the two people here in the webinar. So Chris grew up in the church, but hasn't been in several years. He has doubts about the church. He misses the community, and he remembers having a greater sense of meaning in his life. Stephen's church, Inner Bay Community, has no idea that Chris even exists. Stephen, on the other hand, is a small group member, donor, a volunteer. He loves Jesus and he wants to help his friend get connected with the church again. So Stephen invited Chris to church, but Chris said he wasn't ready to go. And that's when Stephen got an idea. So let's roll this footage. So Stephen decides to share the app with Chris with the idea that Chris could just watch the live stream on Sunday. He can poke around and see what the church is all about. And later, while watching the live stream, Chris decides, okay, I'm going to join the chat. He heard in the announcements that the icebreaker question was going to be about sports, and he loves sports. So he decides to create an account and join. And just by joining the live stream chat, Interbay Church now knows that he exists. Chris, is it possible to make that full screen, or is that full screen? Oh, that is full screen. Okay. All right. So then later, an admin is preparing the church newsletter in Fluoro, and they send the newsletter out to all active contacts every Sunday morning. And because Chris created a profile, now he shows up as an active contact and is included in the email recipient list. There we go. Selecting all 87 of those, publishing and sending. Great. So Chris gets the newsletter and he sees that there's a church picnic coming up and the church needs volunteer referees for their annual basketball tournament. Chris played basketball in high school. He loves the idea of volunteering this way, of being able to use something that he knows to go and help out. So he decides to just reply to the email and say, hey, I'm available. I'd love to help. Now, because he's already in the system, our church admin is now able to easily roster him for a position. Okay, he got that email reply, and now he can select the referee position at the church picnic and select Chris because he's already in the system. And Chris gets notified and is able to respond to that request almost immediately. Soon, so here we see him responding via email. Soon he'll be able to respond to that request in the same app where he watched the live stream. So no downloading a separate app to make that happen. He'll have his own section that he can go to answer that request. So during the picnic, Chris has a great time and is struck by just how friendly and intentional everyone is about getting to know him. He talks to another referee that prays for him and invites him to his men's group that studies the word and plays basketball every week. And Chris decides it's time to get connected again. So he's able to just pull his phone out, search for the group, and joins the group right there before he even leaves the picnic. So you can see the power of unifying engagement and administrative tools. It lessens the extra work for that unengaged person and the administrator. And we think that this is just the beginning. And we're going to be continuing to build on this and to unify things to make all of the operations at your church and to make discipleship, which is what it's really all about, more effective and more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. This is so exciting. And for you guys that weren't able to see it, if it was a little bit too small, like we said, we are recording this. So definitely take a look at that after the recording. And then you guys can always try and full screen it there on your computers and watch that back. But I'm excited about this. I think, we talked about the idea of knowing your people and help multiplying impact. Like that's at the core, right? And the key for really everything that we do. And like we said, there's Q&A. Please drop the questions down below. And this is just one way, right? One example of how I know one person mentioned in the chat, having a hard time people filling out connect cards, right? Not having to worry about that, right? Just by joining the live stream or even just registering for an event, you're able to actually capture that information and get them plugged in. So absolutely love it. I'm so excited. We're going to go through some Q&A. So please put those below. I know Matt on our support team, which can we just give a hand clap or even a chat shout out to all our support team? Yes, Absolutely. They're incredible. Thanks, Matt, for hopping on and answering some of these in real time. But definitely go in there, post those questions, like the questions that are most important to you guys, and we can go ahead and go through those. So, Stephen, are you ready to talk through questions before we talk through the exciting platform vision that's coming very, very, very soon?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. All right, let's do this. So hopefully you guys can see the question we're answering live. So the first question, Joshua asked, how do you compare against Planning Center online? That's a great question, Josh. I think there's a lot of really incredible things that Planning Center can do, right? But it's very admin centric. And what we really want to do is make sure that your people aren't having to download 5, 6, 7 apps on their phone to register for an event or to service planner, things like that. So all of that in one place with the focus of engagement first is really kind of the core and the key for everything that we're doing. So absolutely love that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click done. Let's go to the next question. We'll answer this live here. What are the limitations on email sends in terms of recipients, daily, etc.? How about formatting? Does allow rich text context? Stephen, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, you can do a lot. I mean, you could send, if you have 10,000 contacts, you can send emails to that many recipients. There's not really a hard limit there today. We are doing some improvements to improve performance beyond that limit, because sometimes it can take a while for some contact lists to load if they're really big. But that's getting better all the time. So yeah, and you can absolutely format it. You can put in custom images and move them around and create a nice newsletter and anything else you're looking to make.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let's answer this next one. Anti-spam regulations regarding permission to send emails. Yeah, so what's really nice at the bottom of those newsletters, there's actually an opt-out or an unsubscribe. And so in that mail out, when Stephen selected those people, it would actually show the people that have opted out or that weren't actually subscribed, and it wouldn't send to those people. So does keep you guys nice and protected from some of those anti-spam and permission regarding opting out and subscribing. So, okay, let's move on. Renee, answer live. Okay, how does an admin know when a new person is added to the database? Stephen, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, so it's really easy to set up some custom queries in Floro that can tell you when new people join. So it's easy to see, hey, who's joined in the last week. And honestly, you can customize all sorts of things about that. Like the list is actually quite long if you want to create a custom report that you can easily view on a regular basis.
Cool. I love it. All right, let's move on to the next one. If someone joins a live stream, will there be backend data that shows how somebody first engages? Stephen, I know you'll probably touch a little bit on this when we talk through platform vision and stuff that's coming soon. But yeah, do you want to go ahead and answer this one as well?
Yeah, I think I understand the question that's being asked. I mean, you can see today when they were created, and one thing that we're working toward is providing better metrics on like how they were created and what it is exactly that they've been involved in. There are ways to piece that together now on the platform. There isn't the central place where you can see all of their activity, but that's something we're working on.
Cool. I love it. The other thing as well is when somebody does join the live stream for the first time, as long as they've created that profile, they click join. When the live stream's done, it'll actually show who is involved in the chat, and then it'll actually have a little icon that says new next to that person. So absolutely will know when somebody first engages with the live stream, which is super cool. And again, that automatically throws them in the database too, which means you know exactly who was engaging with that live stream. Okay, next question, ways to import data from Planning Center. Absolutely. There's an incredible import tool that will actually organize some of that data as well. It's a really easy CSV import. So you just export from Planning Center and import there. So absolutely can do that. All right, let's move to the next one. Looks like we've got support. Matt is like just going off on there in the support. I love it so much, helping us out here. We are currently using Planning Center. Can we migrate data? Yes, absolutely can migrate the data from Planning Center. That is a great question there. Just answered that one. Does people data in Subsplash now sync into Floro? Stephen, do you want to talk about even, I know we talked about last time, single source of truth versus integrating? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually syncing. They're actually sharing the same data source, which we think is actually really important because that eliminates a lot of problems with delays and syncing errors back and forth. we worked really hard to make sure that both systems would have the same source of truth, that you can edit and update and create those people in both systems. So there's additional data that you can attach to a person in Fluoro that doesn't exist on the SAP side, but it's the same person. The base record of them is the same.
I love it. Love it. I love it. All right, so let's answer this next one. Sorry, this Q&A keeps going up and down here, so I'm trying to make sure we get the right ones on top here. Methods to engage the older crowd. Absolutely, Joshua. So this is actually one thing where a lot of people have a big misconception of apps and how they really only serve like the younger generation, right? But in reality, there's a lot of, especially the senior and older crowd, using tablets. And so that's why we were super passionate about making sure that those apps are on tablets, as well as smart TVs, as well as which a lot of people do have in their homes, as well as the mobile side. So definitely, and there's even always ways, the kind of pen and paper, you can always add those into the database manually. So you're not eliminating those ways, just kind of helping ease some of the workload of people that are already engaging with the church, right? Being able to flow into the database. So great question there.
Hey, Chris, I see some chatter in the chat, and I think some folks are confused about what Fluoro is. And so, yes, Fluoro is a great product and company that we acquired about a year ago. And it is a church management system, and it's like a really robust, super powerful one. And that's part of the leveraging that power is part of why we wanted to take our time to figure out exactly how to integrate this with the Subsplash platform as a whole. Right now, it's optional with Subsplash One. So if you want it, just talk to your client success manager, and they can turn it on for you, and then you can launch that separate dashboard from your Subsplash dashboard.
Yeah, thanks for answering that, Stephen. I know definitely one of those things where some people don't know what Fluoro is, but yes, Fluoro, that CHMS portion, and now the Subsplash portion being integrated, or the single data source, single source of truth, huge deal. So, okay, Tammy, let's go to answer your question here. Would this replace MailChimp for mass emails? Absolutely. So it's very similar, the newsletter feature, what we call mailouts to MailChimp. But the nice thing is, because it's all integrated with the database, you can even see who's opened the emails, who's read the emails, and who hasn't. So it's definitely much more integrated than a MailChimp, and you don't have to run reports, then export context and import to MailChimp. Everything's kind of seamless, right? And already there in the database. So absolutely love that. Okay, Mark, let's answer your question. If someone registers for a new group or an event, does the system send an email to the appropriate administrator or team leader? Stephen, do you want to answer this one?
Yes. So you can set up, you can set up like custom notifications, so specific people get notified. I think there's, sometimes there's better ways of handling that than just an email notification, but that can absolutely be done.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so I think it's Tara or Tara. Hopefully I got that one right. Can this replace my church management software to include date of death, baptism, mailing labels to mail out letters? Yeah, so absolutely you can do all those different things. And then there's even some cool things. I know, Matt, I believe we have even some support articles of how you can export a CSV and then easily import that into what we call Microsoft Mail Merge, which easily will print out mailing labels for you guys, integrates with different label printers and things like that. So definitely it's a full church management, Fluoro being the full part of that church management side, and then Subsplash being that engagement side. So thinking about the ways that users interact, right? Yes, Holly, contribution statements, absolutely. Users interact through that Subsplash side, and you guys able to administratively manage through that Fluoro side. So, okay, Nancy, can you send info via text message? Stephen, do you want to take this one here?
Yeah, so there's a ton that Fluoro can do. And to start, we actually removed a few things so that we could begin to bring it back one at a time, fully integrated with the platform. And so text messages, somebody mentioned processes earlier. It does all of those things. And it's just an issue of us getting it turned back on so that that's a delightful experience for you guys when it's ready to go. And we do have a lot of things lined up. Text is one of those things. Right now, the only text messaging that's available in Fluoro is for parents who check in their kid so that they can get a message when they are in service. But soon we're going to turn that on everywhere so that you could get a text message, for example, ad hoc if an administrator needs to send you a message, or let's say if they want to use that when they roster you to volunteer for a position.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And also just goes to show too, like we're always constantly innovating, right? We never want to be in the same place. We always want to be innovating. And so adding those things back into Fluro, I think is definitely a key thing. I know something, again, your team is hard at work day and night, it seems like, making those things happen. So thanks for all the work that you guys do. Okay, Alyssa, let's answer this question here. A lot of legacy data with your current system. It's really hard to move away from it. How customizable is Fluro? Stephen, do you want to talk about this? This is one of my favorite parts about Fluro, I think, is the customization that it has.
Yeah. Fluro is extremely customizable. And that's one of the things that we've been working really hard on is presentation and making sure that we can offer that customization in a way that is delightful. And so, like I mentioned, right now, there's some restrictions on some of it, but we're eager to bust those wide open so that you can have the full power of it. I was actually pretty shocked when we were first looking at it, at the number of things that it can do. It's the level of customization. It just goes deeper and deeper, truthfully, even deeper than I have fully explored just yet. So we could talk for hours about it. But yes, there's tons of customization.
I love it. Absolutely. Okay, I want to answer this question by Waymond. I think this is a really great question. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I think this kind of teases out the platform vision. Is Fluro a separate admin/panel app, or is it integrated into Subsplash One? Also, will admins be able to send info and messages via their phones, or is it all through the admin panel, which would be more desktop friendly? Stephen, you want to take this one?
Sure. So yeah, it is a separate admin panel, but you don't need a different account. So you can use your Subsplash account, your administrative account that you already have to log in. If you have Subsplash One, which is a package that gets you everything on the platform, and it's absolutely the package that we recommend because it's appropriate to the size of your church, right? So if you have a smaller church, you're not paying for as much usage. Whereas if you have a larger church, you would pay more, but you'd have the same package, right? You can request to turn on Fluro if you want to use Subsplash for everything, including your CHMS. And then you can access that from your Subsplash dashboard. It's a separate admin panel, but you use the same administrative account that you already use to jump into it. And then you can invite other team members.
Yeah, I love it. And more on that question too in like a few minutes here, which is going to be so awesome, I think, when we go through that part. So definitely stay around for that, and we'll finish up a little bit more Q&A before we get into that. Okay, Alan, let's answer this question. Can some groups be password protected for groups like leadership? Well, the nice thing is in the app, you can actually have private groups. So those are groups that only people are invited to. They have to be invited to. So it would be password protected through that user's profile, which is great. So yes, absolutely can do that. And then on the back end, on the Fluro side, those groups, actually, you have to have certain permissions to be able to see that through what we call access passes. So absolutely great question there. Daniel, let's answer this question here. Unfamiliar with Fluro. Is it similar to Church Community Builder? Yes, very similar, but also different, right? Because it is fully integrated with that front end, with the engagement side. So really incredible tool, very similar to Church Community Builder. I know we've had a lot of people that even have switched from Church Community Builder and have realized just the power of what they can do with Fluro that they weren't able to do with Church Community Builder through reports and things like that. So definitely. Okay, so is there, John, a workflow option like Planning Center? Stephen, I believe we answered this a little bit with what we call processes. Is also the same thing that workflows is called in Planning Center. Yes, will be coming soon, which we are so excited about. Yeah. I think that continue furthers that, the narrative. We really want to make sure that you guys are multiplying the impact that you have, right? Helping you know your people through some of those processes, where they're at in that discipleship journey. So absolutely. Okay, so Lisa, let's answer this question. Is there something similar to PCO services to build schedules and that sort of thing? Stephen, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I'd have to dive in to get familiar with what the services actually does to be able to answer that fully. But there's so much that you can do with scheduling, in terms of, your volunteer management is very robust.
Hey,
But
Stephen, real quick, can I jump in on this one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So there actually is a feature inside of the Fluro platform that is about planning services, so that you can go in and you can set up, okay, here's our service, here's our order of worship that's going to happen, and kind of like laying it all out on a schedule. And then from that schedule, you can assign bands or teammates or members and kind of like request your volunteers and stuff around it. So yeah, it does have a lot of the similar functionality from that standpoint, but that is part of the process of setting up an event, adding a service plan to it. And then from that service plan, you can schedule volunteers and stuff based on that plan. And then everybody can see the service plan as they're kind of going through it and see what's going on. And
Stephen, you want to tell everyone who you are?
Oh yeah. Hey, sorry, everybody. My name's Stephen. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Subsplash. So a lot of really good, great conversations and awesome questions out there, but just wanted to dive in real quick on that one.
Stephen, you're awesome. Thanks for chiming in. I love, we like to tease. We've got the Stephen with the V and the Stephen with the PH. So we got the two incredible Stevens here. Okay, thanks for answering that. Robert, we are going to answer this question here. So, sorry, it scrolled off here. Is this another app or part of what folks already have? This is what folks already have. So this is actually through your church's app on Subsplash. So this is not, a separate app or an app within an app within an app or anything like that. So yes, that is a great question there. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. I think Matt is answering one I was about to answer here. Let's see. Wayne, you have a question. For administrators, is there notifications when people and users fill out forms? Yes, absolutely. So one person, multiple people can get notified when people fill out forms. And then this is where, even Stephen, you talking about processes would come into play, right? Some of those things that might even be a little bit more automated with that follow-up for you guys, which is huge, but absolutely get notifications there. So let's answer Nancy's question. Is there an easy way to see if somebody becomes inactive? Yeah, that's a great question. And part of where I think, Stephen, you're going to talk through some of the platform vision of making it personal. But yes, there's ways to even archive people. You can see what we call the activity heartbeat to see who's engaged and who's not. And it can actually make them what we call archive, which would be still in the database, but kind of considered an inactive contact in there. Okay, so let me answer this one. Host, admin, chat platform to manage the conversations, add buttons, and links. Hazel, so yes, there actually is. So that's Subsplash messaging is actually that chat platform that you can actually have conversations right within the app. And your small groups and different groups can actually communicate with each other. And that's where you could even have some of those private groups too. So they would be more of a little more secure. And then also the ones that would be the public groups that anyone can join, which is awesome. With more activity added to Subsplash, are you growing customer service, hoping for same-day answers in your ask? Stephen Testone, do you want to talk about our support teams and just how incredible they are and even the ways that we're continuing to support clients?
Just the support teams here at Subsplash.
Yeah, and how we're like actively growing those teams as we grow and even in their knowledge, right? And different things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got honestly like one of the best support teams that I've come across in a long time. Like we've got different support teams for even different sections of the platform. And we've got a group that's like dedicated to the Fluro side of things. And we've got groups on the website and the apps, all of that. And so they're awesome. In fact, a lot of our product team ends up coming from the support team. In fact, like Stephen, I think you were on support one time way back. And the reason we do that is because the support team ends up having such a deep understanding of the customer, the problems that they're facing, the questions and the things that they're trying to wrestle with. And so there are a lot of the same people that also end up coming and helping us form the product down the road from that. So yeah, we've got a great team behind a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I love it. And like I said, I know we've got Matt on here too. So yeah, our support team is absolutely top notch here. Okay, so let's answer this one. This is more about Subsplash giving. And can it be tied to QuickBooks? Yes. So we have something called a Simple Sync, which allows you to actually export the data from Subsplash Giving into QuickBooks, right? And the nice thing is in the Subsplash Giving side, you can manage all these statements as well as see analytics. and different things like that. So pretty incredible there. Okay, so let's keep going here. Is there a plan to integrate service planning into ProPresenter? So from what I know, and Steven Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a plan for a ProPresenter integration, but there is an integration with Song Select. So the ability to pull in the songs from CCLI into the service planning at this time, which is awesome. Okay, let's answer Joshua's question. How big of a team do you recommend to manage the full capacity of Subsplash One with Fluro? Really, Joshua, we actually have church plants that are on the platform that are able to manage and use Fluro as their database, right? So you don't have to have a big team, which is part of our hope, right? Some of these automatic things that you might want to have happen without having to do a bunch of extra legwork can happen for you. So absolutely don't have to have a big team. Tiny churches as well as big churches on the platform as well. Okay, so let's go through. Fluro integration with Teams. I don't believe there's an integration with Microsoft Teams at this time, but I would say that's where, a lot of the Subsplash tools, especially on the engagement side, would really come into play. Okay, so I think this might be the last question that we have time for. Let's see. In Fluro, under the profile, Steven Simon, if you want to answer this, there's a tab called attendance. What are the plans for this? Currently, we're taking attendance through Google Forms and manually punch it in. Be nice to have this seamlessly recorded app. Steven, do you want to talk about check-in and how that even will show the attendance on somebody's profile in Fluro?
Yeah. So you can totally use check-in to do that. If you want to track attendance for your community group, for example, you don't have to have people check themselves in. You could do that, but oftentimes what you'll do is just the leader will do it. Oh, who showed up today? They can enter those people. And then it's not just a tally of, oh, okay, we had 14 people or whatever. It's the exact number of people that showed up.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I think that might be all the time we have for Q&A. I would say I see some really specific questions here in the chat. I would encourage you guys, definitely connect with a ministry consultant. And there's a lot of things that we'll be able to actually answer for you guys in real time and actually go through some of the systems that you're using and walk you through that. And then if you're already on the platform, definitely connect with your CSM. We'll talk through those next steps here in a second. But Steven, This is probably what I'm most excited for. Can you talk us through Subsplash One, the vision of this? And even I'd love Stephen Testone to chime into this as well. So let me know when I can showcase this next slide here.
Yeah. Well, I'd say just go for it. I just kind of wanted to preface by saying, administrative tools are important, but then the other side of that coin are tools to connect and engage with your people. But bridging those two worlds is vital if you're going to be as effective in your mission as possible. That's why we're excited to show you this sneak peek at what's around the corner on the Subsplash platform. In addition to bringing all the engagement pathways that we already offer together in one personalized experience for your people, for your end users, we're also building out an experience for volunteer self-management in the app. It's not a separate volunteer app that you'd have to download or access on the web. And it's not separate from small groups or anything else either that you do with your activities. It's all together in one single church app. There's only one app. So soon people are going to be able to accept or decline their volunteer assignments via push notification and their volunteer section of your app. And then before long, we'll be laying on some additional features in that capacity that will allow your people to do things like set their default availability, schedule vacation time, and so on. All this is in an effort to just remove as many obstacles as possible to engage your people and get them connected in your ministry. And we couldn't be more excited about it. The value that we are delivering, that we have the privilege of delivering to your ministry in the coming months is super exciting. And Testone, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I just jump in real quick. It's awesome to get to share some of this stuff, but I know there was a lot of questions even earlier about, well, how is Subsplash compared to Planning Center or even just some of these other CHMSs and things that you can list off. And this is one of the ones I really wanted to come back to because there was questions and maybe talk around the app. And one of the things that's really important to understand is one, like how much time your people are spending on apps. And then secondly, on top of that, though, I heard even a lot of things in the chat talking about it's getting really hard to get people to download the app or to embrace new technology. And it is true, like you are increasingly getting a world that is more and more skeptical of I don't know what this app is. I don't know what this other company is. I don't know who's using this data for what. What should I be, using this for? And so with Subsplash, we actually have branded apps for your church, right? So it's your church's name, it's your church's logo. And then on top of that, what the apps are built up from the ground up is really around engagement. That's what Subsplash does, and that's what we do best. And so it's trying to create that scenario for an app that people are going to be using on a regular basis. And it's already a lot of, if you have Subsplash app and you have putting your sermons in it, it's already an app that they have, and it's already an app that they're using for a lot of stuff. And so I think the main point of the differentiator trying to get across is, one, it's not a separate app for like all your community related features. We're building it directly into the Subsplash app that many of them already have. And then with this process, which is just kind of a project we're calling Make It Personal, we're building in personalization into the app. So not only just like, here's some content, but we're getting down to the level where there's going to be, if you've been tagging your content, for instance, so if you use Subsplash for media items and you've been tagging them with scriptures and topics and all these kind of things, that we can start to know and recommend content to that specific user based on content that they're watching, or be able to communicate to that specific user based on things that they're doing inside the app. And so trying to make it a more and more personalized experience. So we have the app from the church, branded from the church, and saying, here's our content, here's some engaging stuff, but it's also the people in the app that are diving deeper into it. Another feature that I'm super, super excited about that's actually coming out really, and I think just in a matter of weeks, is like if you have tagged media with scripture inside of the app, that in your Bible, while you're reading it, you can see related media for Matthew chapter 3 popping up inside of it. And it's that level of personalization and engagement that we're going to be driving that's going to help drive so that it's not an admin-centered focus way of updating your data, that it's actually the people in the app, how they're using the app, how they're joining messages, how they're signing up for forums, registering for volunteer events, and that they're going to have this, what this screen is trying to show right here is like the centralized place inside the app where they're like, this is my view of the app. This is where my stuff is. This is where my volunteer opportunity is. This is where my play history is, my donation history, the groups that I'm a part of, on and on and on. Yeah, sorry, I get really excited about this stuff and I could keep going on about it. But that's one of the ones I wanted to show us, like, this is where we come in and this is what we do best is engagement. And the app is already a really widely distributed app if you've been using Subsplash in any capacity for a while. And so we're building all of it into this one. We're not going to have, a separate app for volunteering or anything else that they have to download that's like a Subsplash app. They're downloading your church's app in order to do all this stuff.
Yeah, I love it, Stephen. So exciting. And I know even you, what's really cool is you being bivocational, right? As a pastor, right? This is people that actually just download the Natio Church app when this comes out, right? That can engage with the church there. So super incredible. And I think even to touch on something in the chat that was said, is the data sold, right? Are your members' data sold? Is your congregants' data sold? Never, absolutely not, right? And that's something that we are super passionate about. And one of the reasons why we encourage churches not to, or discourage churches to, use Facebook and YouTube and these other platforms, because they're dealing with that, they are selling your data, right? That's just kind of the known fact. So definitely, we're super passionate about that. And as Stephen said, we want to take back time from the things of this world that people are getting discipled by, right? They're getting discipled by YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and we want to take back time for the church. So helping you guys know your people, helping you guys multiply your impact is super key and kind of core to what we want to do, right? So we've got a quote from Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. At Hillside Community Church, biggest asset for us is that we position ourselves so we're only using one tool, and that's the Subsplash platform. It's the complete toolkit. So exactly like you mentioned, Stephen Testone. Okay, let's talk next steps. So for you guys that are new to Subsplash, that aren't part of the Subsplash platform, go ahead and go to subsplash.com/unified data. For specifically the guys that have those specific questions, connect with a ministry consultant. We are happy to answer the questions that you guys have. And please make sure to mention you're part of the webinar. There's a special discount for people who attended the webinar. And there also would be a link going out via email as well with the recording. So those of you that weren't able to see the video, want to make it a little bigger, blow it up full screen, definitely do that. And the link is also posted in the chat as well. So in the chat and then via email. If you're already a partner of Subsplash, you want to know more about Subsplash One, or even have some questions about Subsplash One, definitely book a call with your client success manager, your CSM, and they are happy to answer those questions as well as help you guys through strategy, right? How to roll this out, how to make sure that this is effective for your people. And if you're already a Subsplash client, we've got something super exciting. So a revamp referral program. What this means, you share this out, you share your referral link that's inside your dashboard to another church that signs up with Subsplash. They're going to get 30% off their setup cost, and you guys get a $250 gift card of your choice. So this means free lunch for your staff. This means maybe purchasing a new iPad for check-in station, or if you want 50 pumpkin spice lattes. I did the math. So 50 pumpkin spice lattes, you can absolutely order. Or maybe
cider, Chris, cider, not the pumpkin.
50 cups of apple cider. I love it. So thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you're new, go ahead and book a demo with a ministry consultant. Happy to answer those questions. And for your clients, book a call with your CSM. Absolutely. So thank you guys for joining us. We're so excited about this and hope you guys are as well. And definitely happy to answer those further questions. Be on the lookout for the recording. Thank you guys so much for joining.